Everyone, I have had quite a few people request that I do a tutorial for this page, the lovely cute bonsai trees in Small Victories by Johanna Basford. Now I have had a look at this page, and what I would like to do is, rather than make it into a 4-part series and colour each one differently, is to actually make them match, because I think that would look quite nice. I've done that on some other pages, not this one, this was just very bright. But on some pages I've made the items match and I liked it, particularly houses. So that's what I think I'm going to do. So we're going to actually colour them all simultaneously. And it might sound a little bit odd, a little bit different. It is different, maybe even a bit scary, but it shouldn't be. I'm just going to put a weight on the side of that page. Okay. I've got my Polychromos pencils here just because they're here, so I'm going to use those. If you prefer to use Prismacolor, I do have a conversion chart between the two. I know Colour with Claire has done a really good one, where hers is lovely. I've done one as well, probably not quite as good as hers, but anyway, so if you'd rather use Prismas, you can use my chart. There's a link in my video description to my Ko-fi shop, and that's where the chart is. But let's get going. We're going to do the little trays, or I'm not sure what to call them. There is a word, pots, I suppose, first, and we're going to do them gold. Now I know some of you still find gold a little bit tricky, even though I do it a lot. You don't have to do it gold. This is walnut brown where we're going to start, and I'm just going to start placing my walnut brown, talking as I go. If you don't want to do the gold, then use your green gold, and that just makes everything look quite gold. But one hint, when we do our gold, we leave a little bit in the middle white to look like shine. Do that with your green gold as well, and you will get the same sort of effect. Now we're going right on the edge, quite dark, and then reducing the amount of brown here like that. Okay, and we're going to do that on all the edges. We're going to ignore the patterning. We will come back to that at the end and worry about it then. Or we won't worry. There's nothing to worry about. So a bit more here and here. We're just going to do the same on every pot, and then see where it leads us. Like that. So this one, the top looks more like it's joined. I'm going to do it all in sort of one. Again, we have a little pattern on here, but we'll deal with that at the end. There's quite a bit of brown on that one. A bit more, it won't matter. They don't have to be identical. I mean, they aren't identical shapes, but I just quite fancied doing them all gold, doing all the tree trunks the same colour, all the branches the same, all the houses the same. So we've got a sort of coherence in the page, it all matches. As I say, I did this on one of the other pages when I did some buildings. I think it was the page with the 4 houses, and I really liked how it looked. And then I copied that idea across quite a few of the house pages, because I didn't really know what to do with them, to be honest with you. Colouring houses is not always something that I enjoy that much. I know Johanna draws really cute houses. If it's a mushroom house, you know, a toadstool house, that's very different. But, you know, like a normal house, I get a little bit daunted and I'm not really sure what to do with it. You see, I'm putting a little bit on each edge of the legs as well. Oh, sorry, just shifting in my chair, and then I'll be back with you. Sorry. I have to every so often. My back, in here, this chair doesn't fit under the desk, just because of the way the room is laid out. It's not ideal, but it works. And one day I'll have a proper studio and it'll all be lovely. But for now it's fine. It works, as I say, but the chair isn't, because I can't get it that close to the desk, it's a little bit uncomfortable. Right, this one's a bit messy. I'm just going to tidy up that edge a bit. There we go. Okay, that is our first colour. Now we're going to use a lighter brown. Well, I'm thinking a mid-brown. I change it up a little bit. I think I'm going to use the raw umber. Now I shared this tip with you before. I'm going to start with the last, just put my arm down on the pencil, hold on. I'm going to start with the last one because I tend to get messier as I go through. So if I do go over my messier one first with this pencil, it should tidy up a little bit. And exactly the same, so we've gone over what we've done, we're just extending it and fading it. It's just how I always do gold. If you've got your Prismacolors, you can use a dark brown and what do I use? Dark umber, light umber, ochre, yellow ochre and jasmine, or you can stick a goldenrod in there if you want it slightly more orangey. Anyways, I was going to tell you this story. Lunchtime today. Boys happened to be home today for lunch, lovely. We're having a natter and I was saying, oh, what is it talking about? Oh, I said, my one boy was rude to me. I said, I'm not going to leave you anything in my will. You know, being really silly. I said, actually, I haven't got anything to leave. And he said, yes, you have. You've got all that firewood. And I didn't. I said, what do you mean? He said, all those pencils. The cheeky boy. I did then try and explain to him that they would be worth more if he sold them than if he burnt them. I said, you're not going to do that with all the colouring books, are you? And he said, no, they don't. They're not wood. They don't burn very well. I said you could sell them. He's like, but only what was it? Oh, you're only if you're rich and famous by then. Right. Anyway, he's a cheeky boy. This is green gold. It was quite funny. And don't worry, I'm not planning on going anywhere for a very long time. Now, where should we start with this one? We'll start back here. So I want one more colour, so I can bring this in a fair bit now. Yes, I do like having my boys home. It certainly keeps me lively. But my other boy is quite cheeky too, but in a totally different way. It's quite funny. Hey, hey. But yes, I don't know what's going to happen to all the pencils and books, but anyway, I'm sure someone will be interested. As I say, a long time to go yet. But none of my family do colouring, interestingly. My mum was saying about it. She said she occasionally does a little bit. She makes cards, and when she makes my dad's cards, occasionally she does a bit on the envelope where she writes his name, you know, like when it's his birthday or whatever. But she doesn't do it for anybody else. Now we want a yellow. We've got so many yellows to choose from, but today I fancy picking a Naples yellow. By choosing different colours, you get a different look to your gold, and you can experiment a bit, you know. It's I wonder if that would be useful to give you my gold colour combinations on a download. That would probably be quite useful, wouldn't it? The only thing is, I don't know how original my ideas are, you know. Do I steal them off somebody else? I don't think Polychromos, I don't. My Prisma one was someone else's, and then Chris Cheng, so I better not do it for Prisma, but for Polychromos, I do my own. Maybe I should do a little sheet for you. And maybe silver, copper, bronze. I know some other people have done them as well, but these would be like my go-to combos rather than just theirs. So it would be a bit different. I do worry about copying other people, but I've always sort of done my own gold and definitely my own silver. I'll have a think about that. I'll make a note of it in a minute when I finish this. So you see I've left a little white and it looks a bit glowy, hopefully. Let's just write a note. Yeah, I'll have to think about how I'm going to lay that out and do that, but anyway. So that is that, but we're not done. We're going to take a darker colour. We're going to go back to our walnut brown. We need to sharpen it, and we're going to add some depth to some of these items. So our first pot here, we have this sort of brim, and we're going to colour under it with our walnut brown to put a little shadow in there to make it look like there's a sort of bit of an overhang on our pot, but try to make it darker on the darker edge where we've coloured darker there. This patterning I'm going to ignore. I don't think I can go over it, but I don't think it's going to make any difference. Now this pot, I figure the brim isn't standing out, but I think this design might be. So what I'm going to do is put my dark brown underneath these to try and make them look slightly three-dimensional. And then under here as well. A bit lighter here as before, make it darker on that edge, and hopefully that makes them look a little bit more three-dimensional. This one, put a bit darker on the edge of those legs. I hadn't gone all the way to the edge. I think maybe under here there'd be a bit of a shadow where the legs are. I'm not sure I'm going to bother with anything else on any of the others. I think that'll do. Now let's have a think about our tree trunks. So what I think I'll do is start off with a sort of mid-brown and then add a darker one to add a little bit of shadow, shape, that sort of thing to our tree. So I'm going to, whoops, knock my pencils over, use the bistre and just do a medium pressure, even-ish, as even as you can, distribution of brown on our tree trunks. Now as you colour, have a look at the little trunk, see whether there's any detailing you need to be aware of. Now this one has a sort of stripy pattern on it. I'm going to probably just ignore that, let it tell its own story through as it shows through without emphasising anything. I think I'll just leave it. I don't think it needs me to sort of shadow under or anything like that. So I've gone to the bottom, it's a bit easier for a minute. So we'll just fill that bit in. Oh, it's raining, I think. Pretty typical British weather. If you're wondering what the weather might be doing, it's usually raining. Okay, now this one, I've just noticed we've got this little bit up here, so we need to make sure we don't forget that bit. There's bound to be a bit I forget, you know me. I forgot a bit on the video I made this morning. But anyway. There we go. I saw another post this morning about AI art and artists saying how it's making it so difficult for them to survive financially because AI is competing with them. I think the main problem with AI art is that it's sold quite cheaply, and therefore people tend to go for it because obviously if you want a new book and you haven't got much money, then you can grab one. And I think a lot of people don't realise it's AI. And I think also it's very tempting to think that AI art is someone's hard work, and someone has done some work because they've found a picture or a combination of pictures which they've put into their system, and they've then looked at it and hopefully have edited a bit to make it, because AI makes a lot of mistakes, hopefully they've edited it to look better. So there is some work, but the fact that it's so much cheaper means that those that spend a lot longer working on their art find it hard to compete. I think it's a difficult circumstance really, because in all areas of work, whatever it is we do, there will be competition, and there will be new competition, and AI will become a competition for a lot of people in a lot of areas. And so I have done lots of different jobs, and I've moved from job to job because I couldn't make enough money in certain areas. However, I realise that's not, like, because of the type of job that I can do, and I have quite a big mix of different things that I can do, it means that I can be quite flexible and I can move around and it's okay. Whereas for other people, they have been training in art for a very long time, it's the only thing they know. It makes it much more difficult to move into something else, and also it might just be their love, their passion and that sort of thing. So it's a very, very tricky thing. It's like I was freelance writing, and then before even AI was talked about, what people used to do was they would take a piece of writing and put it into a piece of software, and it would rewrite it, and it would be usable. So it would put writers out of business a long time ago. So there's always been that sort of thing going on, and I think excuse me, the thing with writing, which might also apply to art, is that some people wanted someone who was a native speaker. This is burnt umber. And what I'm going to do with the trees is use it on the edge. So on the edge of every part of every tree, I'm going to put some and then sort of scumble it out towards the middle. So some people wanted a native speaker so that what they wrote made complete sense, you know, and any dialects and things like that that they had worked and that sort of thing. So I had to find jobs like that, but my rate was very low, because, well, below minimum wage, because there was so much competition from all over the world. The standard of living is much lower in some countries, and they could provide work. So you know, when you're self-employed, it is tough, you know, it's very difficult. I do and also artists. My husband took, quite a few years ago now, took a month's sabbatical off work so that he could try out some art and see how it worked for him. And he went to a place where artists met up. I can't remember what it was, a sort of co-share type workspace thing. And I'm going to do the same on all the trees, and then I'm going to come back in with the original colour and make it look better. Okay. And they were all saying how expensive it was to manage, how they weren't making much money from their art. Even back then, this was again before AI art really was doing very much. And so I think it's always been a thing. Artists have never been well paid. Even if you look back to, you know, Renaissance artists and things like that, you know, it's always been difficult to make money. I think unless you're Damien Hirst or Tracy Emin, you know, it's tough. And I think I'm a bit torn. I think we all need to learn to adapt with new competition and new markets and things like that, because that happens in every field of work. But I also think that it's important to value art. And for example, you know, if someone's selling some downloads, don't share them with people, you know, tell people to go and buy their own. I'm not in that sort of way, that sounds very rude, but you know, explain to them that it's only for your own use and they need to sort of purchase their own to respect the artist, sort of thing, that sort of thing. You know, also just tell people about the artist that you know, even if you can't keep affording to buy their work, share their posts on social media, that sort of thing, watch their videos, hint hint, you are, thank you, and like and comment and interact with posts. It makes a big difference. The more people that see artists' posts, their work, everything else, the more likely they are to get some financial funding from it, you know, and it will eventually help, you know. And I realise not everybody can afford to buy, you know, we can't, none of us can realistically afford to buy every colouring book, every download for every Etsy seller, every artist, and etc. But if we can just, you know, do our best to help a little bit, even if it's just a handful of people. I'm sorry, I'm going very squiff, and that is good, isn't it? Right, I'm sharpening up my bistre because we're going to go back now in and blend in those heavy outlines. So what I do is I go back over them with the bistre and then sort of create an extra layer of bistre. It's quite hard to show you on these thin bits. Just bringing a heavier layer of bistre in a little bit so that, I'll show you here, look, so I'm just putting a bit more in so it fades it a little bit, so it's not a heavy outline, it sort of fades, tapers off to where I think there might be a little bit of, to where the bit of tree that is closest to me would be, so it makes it look like it might be catching the light in the centre of the tree. I think I'm happy with that one. This one, of course I missed that little tree up there, of course I did, but I'll just do it with my bistre, it's quite small anyway. But it's like, you know, if you see Johanna's books somewhere and they look a bit too cheap, or you don't recognise the cover, or there's something about it that's a bit suspicious, then look carefully, think carefully. Is it her book? Is it a copy? Everybody, I mean, what was I looking at something the other day, and someone who makes stickers and colouring book said they'd found their work copied on was it AliExpress? I can't remember. Anyway, and she said, does this mean I've made it? You know, someone's copying my work. So yeah. But obviously it's annoying and she's reported it, but you know, you can only keep an eye on it so far and report it so far. However, if you do find something that you think is a copy, do report it to the illustrator / artist / publisher, and they might be able to do something about it. But there are, I see fake, what was it? I saw a fake book on, it was on Temu. I've seen them on other sites too. I've seen them on Amazon, you know, everywhere. So it's no different really, even if it's, I feel that at least with AI art, someone's had some input, and if they are carefully picking copyright-free images to use as their base, then that's not so bad as just copying someone's book completely, which is what the people selling fake books are doing. Right, how are we doing for time? Let's have a look. We could do our trees. Now I love these trees, they're so pretty. What I'm going to do is start with the earth green yellowish. It's, you know, my favourite green, so indulge me, pick your favourite green. And what I'm going to do with this is make sure you use a round and round movement because we want it to look all bushy. And I'm just going to fit it all in. And my hope is that it looks slightly uneven, so it looks more like leaves. Now, having said all that, my Ko-fi shop, where I sell my various downloads and things, the items on there are free, or you can pay for them. And so you can share them because they're not. I don't charge, per item. It's always lovely when someone does donate, of course, and thank you if you do. But I do want to make it available for everyone because I know that some people just can't do it, It's and particularly the swatch charts, which I'm adding to today, actually. Well, this video might not go out on it won't go out today. So anyway, because I feel that it's quite important, what I've done is I've produced charts that I've swatched. Now, obviously, when you look at it on your screen compared to how it actually looks in real, if you consider the process it's been through, so I've put the colour down, I've put it in my scanner, I've then put it up online, then you're looking at it on a screen that might look completely different to reality. So it's not going to give you a very accurate representation of the colour. However, the idea is that you can go and have a look and go, oh, do I want to buy a set of Ergosofts? Not sure. Let's have a look at Rachel's thing. She's swatched them. I can see that there's, one violet, a lavender, there's a plummy colour, there's a pink, and but there's not enough browns. I want 10 browns and there's only 5 or whatever. So it will allow you just to have a look at the colour distribution, the types of colours, that sort of thing. So if you're considering buying something, you can just hop over there and have a little look and make that decision, and hopefully it will mean that you won't regret buying certain sets and think, oh, but I wish it had more pink, or oh, I wish I'd known what was in it first. That's why I'm doing those, as well as the fact that there are blank charts that you can download to fill in yourself. I know a lot of people like using those too. So it's sort of double purpose really, which is quite useful, I think, for you. Well, I hope so. And then there are the colour comparison charts too, which I've been working on. I haven't done so many of those lately. I did a metallic one with a comparison of metallic and non-metallic colours because I did a metallic page, and I know some people really dislike metallics. So I thought I would do a swatch chart so that you could follow along the video and use an alternative pencil to the metallic one that I was using. I know some of you are very good, and if I'm using an orange, you'll just grab a mid-orange and you'll get on with it. But I know some of you haven't got that ability. I think it's something that we learn, but it is easier for some people than others, and some people have more competence than others. So I'm just hoping that in that sense it's useful for you, because it's not always easy. Some people find it easier than others to, like my husband, for example, he does art, but he's colourblind. He's red-green colourblind. He can see the difference a bit, but not that well. So he's not completely colourblind, but it means that he might find it harder to sort of put the colours in a good order for swatching, for example, and that sort of thing. I don't really understand it because I'm not. I think it's really almost impossible to imagine what it might be like when you're not experiencing it, and it's not something that he can describe to me. I can't go, well, what does that colour look like? So he'll go, well, do you know what I mean? You can't describe colours. So anyway, but hopefully they're helpful, and that's the point. But as I say, I'll do the gold one, and I think that might be useful too. So you can have a look at different ways of putting pencils together. I'll have to give it some thought as well, because I just sort of wing it. I don't really think about it, so I'll have to think about it. And also how do I put the swatches together. I think I can do that. I think I can work that out. Anyways, we'll have a little go and see what happens. And if there's anything else you want me to do for you that I haven't done, oh sorry, I've got to wipe my nose, let me know. You know, I can't think what. Ooh. This is going to be quite the contrast with the page on the right, which is just a random brightly coloured page. It was, I'm having a look at it, I think it was Ergosoft pencils. It's definitely Staedtler. I have been taking a note of what pencils I used at what page though. Using my download, my index page sheet. What did I call it? Book index sheet or something. I can't remember now. I am going to use, oh, I've got my pencils in the wrong order. I'm going to use the permanent green olive to put some darker areas on our trees. I'm going to start on this, where should I start? This one. At the bottom, I'm going to do a darker bit on the bottom and just sort of fade it up. Still using my round movement to keep our sort of leafy, undergrowthy idea going. Like that. Yes, so I've got a book where I've got a download, I'll get it right in a minute, that you can get, which has a list of all the pages in this book, and then you can write by it when you started it, when you ended it, and what pencils you used. There's a link to it in the description of the video, I know that for sure. So that's given us a little bit more contrast. I can do the same up here. And I've done one for all of Johanna's main books. I haven't done it for her 30 days of colouring, how to draw Inky Wonderland. And I could do it for those. I'm in the mood for making lots of different charts and things at the moment. I don't know why. It's just in that sort of mood. And I've done it for Rita Berman's books too, but none others because they weren't hugely popular, the charts, so I started doing other things instead, trying to find things that appeal to you really. So I may do them for other books in the future, but it's just I'm in the mood for doing swatch ones at the minute, and then I get to a point where I'm not in the mood for doing any and I just don't do them for a while, you know. But at the moment I'm in a very productive sort of mood where I'm doing a lot. I don't know why, but it's almost like my adrenaline's high and I'm wanting to work. It's good. It's not, you know, getting lots done. It's always good, I think. Okay. Now, some of these trees don't look that neat, so I'm just going to go back and tidy them up a little bit. Sharpening my earth green yellowish. Just going to go back in to tidy up a few areas that I noticed were a bit messy. So what I mean by that is areas that look maybe a little bit light, a little bit scribbly, you know, where I've sort of missed bits or where it looks like it needs blending, where I haven't gone up to the edge of the roof, that sort of thing. You know, I just give it a sort of scan with your eye and think, well, does that look good? Is there a bit that I think needs a bit more? Yours might look great, it might not need any of this extra fussing. This one looks better, I think, than the others. There's less though. Right, now around our trees, the base of our trees, we have some greenery. So I'm going to use this permanent green olive for some of it because I think it will tie in then. So I'm probably going to do not the grass but the other things. So these leaves, I think this is a little bit dark for grass, but I might be wrong. So the little clusters of leaves, I'm trying to fade it towards the tip, but it's so small I'm ending up just blocking it in. And this one with our sort of vine. It's a clever idea to make this one stand out as different to the rest. I'm going to check how long I've been going on for because I might do the buildings in a separate video, but I don't know if they're going to take that long. Let's have a look. 35 minutes. No, I think we'll do it all in one. So the grass, I think I'll do it this colour. This is the chromium green opaque. It's a sort of olive-ish colour which will work well with our browns and our olivey greens and things, but it will just look a little bit different. That one hasn't got any. Now our next step is houses, which is the bit, and we've got some mushrooms. I think I'll leave those for now. I'll decide on what colour to do them a bit later. Roofs. Now I'm going to do the roofs in, should we do, yeah, I am going to use the pompeian red for the roofs. Now this is, to start with, I'm just going to go over all the roofs in this quite plain colouring, and then we'll use a darker colour, I need to sharpen this, to put in some few highlights, shadows, whatever you might want to call it. So let's get our red roof. And this one. Now I try to colour in the direction that seems to make sense. So for these roofs I would go horizontally, but it's a little bit awkward because of the position of the book. Now I'll move my hand, so I've got this one. Got a lot of roofs, haven't I? But by using a bright colour like this, it helps them to stand out a bit. Now you may decide you prefer to do each tree uniquely so they're not all the same, but I just rather liked it when I did it before with the houses. Now I'll move across to this one. It's more of a castle. And it's much easier because you're not having to keep picking colours, thinking about whether it all matches together and things like that. Once you've picked your colour, you can just go for it. Okay, so I think it's much quicker and easier, especially for those of you who do spend a long time pondering over colours. I tend not to because I just get bored, so I just grab and go. But I know some of you want to make sure that it absolutely works. And I can understand that. And if it doesn't work, it can be quite sad, you know, upsetting. Especially if you've worked hard on your picture and everything's looking good and suddenly you make a poor choice of colour. But do remember that you can erase, you can colour over the top, and there's such thing as a Posca pen. I have rescued many a mistake with a Posca pen, just going over it in gold or black or whatever. It is, it can be very useful. I'm just going to sharpen this again. I like these pops of red. For me, they're looking pretty good. I think I'm going to do those chimneys as well. And then this one's more conventional, so I've got this gable end. I can't remember what this bit's called, but I don't think it would normally be the same colour as the roof, but it's how we tend to colour it. It makes more sense. Is it called the... oh, I've had mine painted on my house. I tend to have them up under the eaves there, though. I haven't got a gable end like that on my house. There's something boards, aren't they? No, trying to think. Not succeeding. How many of you are shouting? Put it in the comments. And I wonder what on earth you're talking about, because by the time I read the comments I'd forgotten all about it. Okay. Now I am actually going to do the windows next. I'm not going to do the detailing on the roof yet. Now I made a mistake on a house I did for a tutorial planner page, where I did the windows really bright and light, and it looked too much. So we're going to do them fairly faintly yellow. I think the light cadmium yellow, because what happened was I'm going to sharpen. I did them sort of almost orangey yellow, and it looked really glowy, and yet it was a daytime picture, and it just didn't really make a lot of sense. So I think if we keep it a little bit calmer and cooler, then it doesn't stand out as much and doesn't look quite as odd. Of course, the alternative is to make the glass grey, as if there's no lights on at all, and it's just sort of shiny glass. But personally, I think that doesn't look quite as nice. I do have, by the way, a video on how to colour windows, so if you want lots of different ideas on how to do it, then go and have a look at that. It was a really short one, but just to like, it was really a, here's a picture of some windows I've coloured, here's one method, here's another method sort of thing. So just to show you some examples. And that was, at the time, I think people found it quite useful. It sort of gets hidden after a while because of all I make so many videos. They soon sort of just disappear. Ready? I'm just going to write myself a note. Sorry. And I will put a link to that Windows colouring video in the description for you. That's what the note is. And then if you want to have some different ideas, these are quite small, which doesn't help us really, makes it a little bit tricky, I think, personally. Right, I am going to grab the Indian red next and do the doors. Okay, I want them to be quite dark. We don't have any doors on this one. We have our castle door. Now, you might think it'd be wood, but I'm going to do it this red colour. You can paint wood. Now, I think this is a door, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm going to do it as a door. It might be a window, but it doesn't look like a window to me. And then we have a door down here. And do we have any on this one? No. Okay, so I think that's it. I may have missed some. I'll go back if I have. Now I want my basic house colour, and I am going to use, I'm just looking and thinking, I'm going to use the cinnamon colour. I need to sharpen it well. Cinnamon. I do actually quite like them, the look of the houses in white, but I think I do need to colour it in. I look like I've forgotten. But it won't take too long. I think this goes quite well with the red because it's got a sort of pinkish, almost pinkish tinge to it, which I think is quite interesting. I'm halfway through making a swatch chart next door, exporting a large compilation video, and I've come through to record. So although I say I don't like having lots of work in progress pages, so lots of half-coloured pages, I'm certainly not averse to having 3 different jobs going on at once. It frustrates my husband. He can't do more than one thing at once. He can't cope with it. You know, he says there's no such thing as multitasking. You can only do, I mean, obviously I can't colour a page and complete a swatch chart, record a video all at the same time, whatever. But I do think you can have several jobs on the go at once. I can, but I realise that not everybody can cope with that. He really has always really struggled. He says it can take him a lot of time to sort of just get into what he's doing, and then he can't just chop and change, although his boss can, and so she struggles to understand that he can't do it, but I realise he can't do it, and he gets a bit aggravated if I ask him to change, because we were cleaning and he was doing something, and then the washing machine finished. I said, can you go and hang the washing up while I'm doing whatever I was doing? And he said, well, I'm doing this. I said, I know, but that needs hanging up or putting in the dryer, whatever. We were in a hurry for something that was in there, you know. He's like, but I can't. Like, yes, you can. But anyway, I tried to explain to him, you know, when the priorities change, you have to be flexible, but he doesn't. Also, I think if he's doing something he enjoys, he doesn't want to stop it and do something else, and I can completely understand that as well. But because looking after the house is sort of my job, then I just have to get on with it. Although I get help from him, which is very kind of him. But I used to do all the housework on a Friday. I'm wondering whether I should start doing that really, but I can't. There's certain jobs I can't do myself anymore. So I can't lift things. But I'll have a think about it. Whether I could do a bit more. And leave the family a bit less to do on the weekend. Right, I want a slight contrast colour for the bits of houses that I have missed out. Now, I didn't tell you what I was doing, but I was just plain colouring. I wasn't doing anything. What have we got? I could use... I don't want anything too dark. I should plan this really, shouldn't I? I think I'm going to use this. This is the medium flesh. I think it's called Coral. I'm just going to try and find the name for you, but my colour chart is stuck. Coral, yes, I was right. After all that fiddling, I should have just trusted myself. So I'm going to do these chimney pots and anything that hasn't been done yet in this colour. And this door. I would normally do door frames and things in another colour, but there's so few that I think I don't want to introduce yet another colour you know. And when we've filled in this, and we've got to do our swing and our mushrooms, but we'll get a dark sepia and put in some shadows. I might come in a bit closer to show you those because a bit more fiddly, although I didn't when I showed you the pots, but I don't know how easy it is to see when you're so far away. I missed a bit there, so I picked up my cinnamon to do it. I couldn't tell you what I was doing because I put my pencil in my mouth. Not a good idea. That one needs to be cinnamon. There we go. I didn't put it in my mouth that time. I was just concentrating and not talking. I think that's it. Now the swing, I'm just going to grab the raw umber that we use for our gold. I'm just going to colour it in that. But I'm going to overcolour the front and the side a bit more because that top would be catching the light. And our mushrooms, I'm really tempted to just use one of the colours we've used already, just because I think it will tone in nicely. So I'm using the Indian red, but I'm going to try and do the edges a little bit darker. It's quite difficult when they're this small. I am going to use a grey for their stems though. Well, not for these two this side, the stems are just a line, but for these two this side I just want to use a bit of grey. Actually, no, I use my the pencil I can't get hold of. I use the dark sepia that I'm going to be using for the detailing. But I am going to come in a bit closer. I'm just going to move my pencils because they're just here, so I can move my book around a little bit and come in close. There we go. Okay, so I've got dark sepia, and what I'm going to do is try to keep my hand out of shot. Put a bit on the edges, so where things overlap, under roofs, where bits of houses are in front of others, that sort of thing. So under this roof, under this gable, it's not called a gable, fascia, I think that's what it's called. Down there. Okay, I'm happy with that one. I'm going to move across to this one. So under this roof, and this one. Now you could get a slightly darker colour and colour the edges of these towers to make them look more rounded. I think it's too fiddly, so I'm not going to worry about it. This is fiddly enough. I'm trying to talk and do this. Fiddly. Should I say fiddly again? But it's okay really. One thing I didn't do actually on the last one, which I should have done, is where the trees are overlapping, there'll be a bit of shadow as well. Go back and do that on the other one in a minute. I love the idea that there are little houses growing in bonsai trees though. My mum used to have a lovely couple of bonsai trees. Problem is she gets bored with her plants after a while and wants to change them up to something else. It's okay, a lot of people do, but she lost interest in it. Okay. I'm wondering whether to do a bit between the bottom of the tree and the pot, and I think I should really. Just heard a train, if you heard it. Not having to worry about those at the moment. The children are home today. Under here, it's fiddly, isn't it? Now you could go under each row like that. There we go. I remember where the tree overlaps the house. Cast a shadow. You could put some in here as well, but I think where I've made it darker with my green, I'm happy with that. That I don't need to do any more. There's quite a lot, isn't there? Down here. And then our last one under here again. Put something down on the page opposite. Even though I've nearly finished the book, it still flaps around. Yeah. Oh, this one. We're nearly there. Yeah, let's just move my pencils out of the way so you can see the whole page. Oops. So it's about an hour, wasn't it? So a longish video, whoops, for me. But I think let's just take that out. It's one of my old swatch charts that didn't work properly. I had to reprint, being used as a there we go, as a page mark, as a, you know, scrap paper to stop any pencil transfer. So that is a different idea for you to make them all match. I'm just thinking whether I need anything else, but I think I'm happy with that. So, you know, it might not be what you were imagining, but yeah, it's a little bit different idea for you, different approach. So I hope that was okay. But thank you so much for watching. Hope that you have a lovely day and happy colouring.